This story is from a man named Aaron Whitmore, a former schoolteacher from Oregon, who moved to a small town called Black Hollow in 1993. What started as a hopeful relocation quickly descended into an unfathomable nightmare. Aaron Whitmore never believed in curses. As a teacher of literature and critical thinking, he dismissed urban legends as stories born from boredom. So, when a job opportunity appeared in a sleepy, forgotten town tucked between Oregon's pine-covered mountains, he didn't think twice. Black Hollow was quiet, too quiet. The trees surrounding the town felt ancient, almost sentient. Its roads were cracked, its houses frozen in time, and its people distant. Not rude, not unwelcoming, just oddly detached, as if carrying a shared trauma they never spoke of. Aaron took residence in an old cottage offered by the school board, rent-free. It was near the edge of the woods, far from most of the town's population. The locals called that stretch of land the Hollows. When Aaron asked why, no one gave a straight answer. A shopkeeper just muttered, "Children don't go there, they haven't for decades." He laughed it off. Superstition. But that laugh died the first night. Aaron hadn't even unpacked everything when the whispers began. They started low, barely perceptible, like wind through broken glass. But when he turned off the lights, it was different. Children whispering, giggles, soft pattering, like barefoot feet across hardwood floors. He lived alone. One night, around 2:13 a.m., he woke up with sweat pouring down his face. A rhythmic tapping was coming from the window near his bed. Tap, tap, tap. He slowly pulled the curtain aside. Nothing. No one. But the fog on the glass formed the shape of a tiny handprint. And then another. And another. He moved back in terror. As 4, maybe 5 child-sized handprints appeared one by one, pressed firmly on the outside. He didn't sleep that night. Aaron, disturbed but skeptical, decided to investigate. The town's school, an eerie building from the 1950s, held archives. In its basement, he requested access from the principal, an older woman named Mrs. Kearney, who paused when he mentioned the Hollows. "There's nothing useful down there," she warned, eyes lowering, "just mold and rot." But Aaron insisted. In the EIVA archives, beneath layers of dust and cobwebs, Aaron discovered something horrifying, a class photo from 1956. It was labeled Class of Black Hollow Elementary, Room B13. The students looked lifeless, their eyes too black, their expressions hollow. But what chilled Aaron most was the note scratched behind the photo. 13 students entered. None came home. Teacher found dead. Room sealed. There were no news articles, no police records, no explanation. Just one more note beneath. The children never left. Don't hear them. Don't follow them. One evening, Aaron stood near the edge of the woods behind his house. He saw it clearly this time. A small girl, pale as snow in a tattered school uniform. She stood still, facing him. Her eyes were black pits. Her mouth stretched slightly too wide. When he blinked, she was gone. The next day, Aaron followed her. The path she stood on led deeper into the forest. Every step he took seemed to muffle sound. Birds stopped chirping. Even the crunch of leaves beneath his boots felt unnatural. Then he found it. An old building, hidden in the heart of the woods. Rotting, overtaken by vines, but unmistakably a schoolhouse. Its rusted plaque read, "Room B13, do not enter." He pushed the door. It creaked open. Inside, desks were overturned. The chalkboard had claw marks. Child-sized shoes lay scattered. Drawings filled the walls, stick figures. Bleeding eyes, a teacher with no face. Suddenly, behind him, the door slammed shut. The air thickened. He could hear breathing, but it wasn't his own. Then came the whispers, hundreds of them, all around, a chorus of tortured, innocent voices repeating, "You saw us, now you stay." In one moment of pure terror, Aaron turned to run, only to be met by the sight of 13 ghostly children surrounding him. Some floated, some crawled, all stared. One stepped forward and said, "We remember you." Aaron screamed, then everything went black. Aaron woke up in his bed. Was it a dream? But everything had changed. His reflection was slightly off. His eyes looked older, grayer. When he returned to the school, Room B13 wasn't in any blueprint. The principal denied its existence. When he showed the old photo, it was gone, blank, as if it had never been printed. But the children kept appearing in reflections, in windows, behind trees, and every night he heard them, closer and closer. Whispers became chants. "You saw us. You're one of us now." Aaron found the town's oldest resident, Elijah Ward, now 92, blind, but very much aware. When Aaron mentioned the children, Elijah went silent, then said, "They were part of a ritual, a sacrifice. The town made a deal when during the war, 13 souls for protection. It worked, but the deal was never finished. The 13th child resisted. Aaron's blood ran cold. The 13th child still walks. She brings the rest. She finds the substitute." "Elijah," Aaron whispered. "Who was the substitute?" Elijah smiled, toothless. "You." Aaron now couldn't escape them. They crawled beneath the floorboards. They laughed in the vents. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. One night, he carved B13 into his own door with shaking hands. In the mirror, he saw them standing behind him. They weren't trying to kill him. They were trying to become him. Aaron vanished in 1995. The cottage remains untouched, but travelers passing through Black Hollow still report hearing whispers near the hollows. At night, children singing. One traveler swears he saw a class photo at a nearby gas station bulletin board. It showed 13 students and a teacher in the middle. It was Aaron. His eyes were black, and he was smiling. The darkness never left Black Hollow. After Sarah's frantic return and Officer Dwyer's descent into madness, the entire town hovered on the edge of something unseen, something ancient. Her desperate whispers about the children, about the laughter in the trees, about the boy with no eyes, had become the stuff of drunken bar talk and cautious glances. But the story didn't end when Sarah ran. No, that was just the town taking a breath. This is how the Hollow breathes again. Sheriff Joe Chambers had grown up in Black Hollow. He remembered the local legends, the warnings not to go into the woods after dark, and the disappearances. Too many for a town this size. After Officer Dwyer vanished, Joe had locked the evidence room and tried to convince himself nothing unnatural had happened, until he found a VHS tape on his porch. No label, no case, just a strip of duct tape across the side with the word "repeat" written in blood-red ink. The sheriff watched it, and everything Sarah said came flooding back, because it was on the tape. Grainy night vision footage, children with animal skulls, a tall figure dragging something down a hallway in the abandoned orphanage, and that same high-pitched laughter, distorted and reversed. He lit a cigarette, hands shaking. "God help us," he whispered, already dialing the state police. But the call never went through. The line went dead. Then the phone melted in his hand. 3 years had passed. Sarah had been institutionalized in upstate New York. Her memories, fragmented and incoherent, but something had changed in her. She was no longer scared. She was determined. She escaped the facility during a stormy night in May. Security footage showed her walking backward out the front gate, barefoot. Her eyes rolled white, muttering in a language no one recognized. Days later, she was seen walking into Black Hollow, right into the woods. The Willow Creek orphanage had burned down in 1989. That's what the record said. But Sheriff Joe stood there now, watching the building rebuild itself. Charred wood twisted and snapped back into place. Windows shimmered into existence. A bell tolled above the front door, echoing through the trees like a funeral hymn. He reached for his gun, but his holster was empty. Instead, he held a child's rattle. Then he heard the voices. "Sheriff, come play." A dozen tiny silhouettes watched him from the tree line. He ran. One by one, the residents of Black Hollow began to vanish. A teenage girl vanished from her locked bedroom, her phone recording 6 minutes of her sleeping face, slowly turning toward the camera, though she never moved. A preacher was found nailed upside down to his church's cross, inside the building, with no blood. Every dog in the town began barking at the sky for hours, until their necks twisted backward and they fell silent. It was no longer a haunting, it was a feeding. Tommy Beckett had gone missing in 1962. He was 7 years old. He walked into the town square at noon, wearing the same clothes, holding the same rusted toy truck. "Where's Mama?" he asked. People screamed, some ran, but others stared, because Tommy was exactly the same. No aging, no decay, no dirt, just 7. He smiled wide. His teeth were missing. All of them. And then behind him, they all came. Dozens, hundreds. Children with bleeding eyes. Children with animal jaws. Children who crawled like spiders. Children who sang lullabies that reversed time. Children who floated. The town square went dark, though the sun was out, and Black Hollow fell. Deep in the new orphanage, Sarah recorded one last message on a dusty camcorder. Her voice was calm, eerily so. "If you're watching this, they let you, that means you're next. There is no escape from the Hollow. You don't understand it. We're not dealing with ghosts. We're dealing with memory itself. The Hollow remembers. It feeds on what we forget. These are not children. These are moments that got lost in time, and now they're back." Behind her, a massive shadow slowly approached. A boy's voice whispered from behind the camera, "Tell them about the cradle, Sarah." She screamed. The camera cut to Black Sheriff Chambers and 3 survivors, a librarian, a drifter, and a teenage boy, stood in the cemetery behind the orphanage. Something glowed in the ground. A circle of bones surrounded a pit. In the center, an enormous black cradle rocked itself, though no wind blew. The librarian chanted old protection spells. The drifter poured salt and gasoline. The boy held a mirror. They failed. The cradle exploded in light. Each of them saw their childhoods play out, but twisted, corrupted. Moments they had forgotten returned to them. Imaginary friends, closet monsters, shadow people, but they weren't imaginary. They had simply been waiting. The Hollow doesn't end with fire or blood. It ends with silence. Years later, the town of Black Hollow is gone from all maps. The roads leading there are overgrown. No GPS works. Only those who have been called can find it. And in the center of where the town once was, a massive white tree stands, known by wanderers as the Whispering. Sometimes at night, if you put your ear against the bark, you can hear lullabies. Other times, you hear your name.